Hey everybody, I'm back. It's Sonia Lakhani, and today I'm here with Berkley Sweetapple, one of my 2 weeks to Trademarks alums. Hi, Berkley.
Hi.
How are
Thanks.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking some time to share your story and sit with me.
Of course. I'm very passionate about this subject, so I'm happy to be here.
I'm me too. I'm so glad. And just, am loving this experience of sitting down with every single one of my alums. And it's my goal to hit every single one and talk to everyone and just capture their stories. There's hundreds of you doing amazing things with this material. And it's so fun to watch. Like, as like the big sis auntie that's like sitting in the front, I'm just like, oh, look at my students go. It's so fun. So, I mean, I know you already, obviously. I know each of my students fairly well, even though most of us have never met, which is kind of crazy because we feel like we know each other.
Right.
But for those of people watching who may have never met you, came across you on social, do you want to just introduce yourself, who you are, what you're up to?
Sure. So at Berkeley Sweetapple, I have my own law firm doing primarily trademarks now, as well as contracts. I also have a legal template shop where I sell contract templates and other kind of legal templates and guides. My background's actually in litigation. So before I opened up my firm a little over a year ago, I did litigation for about 7 years. And I knew pretty much in law school, I was doubting whether the law was for me, and litigation sort of confirmed that it wasn't. So I spent like 7 years doing, doing something that I didn't love. I don't love confrontation and fighting and the adversarial nature of litigation. I don't like going into court.
Same.
I get total stage fright. Like my whole body floods with anxiety. I just don't like it. So early on in my legal career, while I was doing litigation, I started doing like a legal lifestyle blog and had dreams of monetizing that, and sort of got into this niche of women building online businesses. And so that's kind of what led me to launch my template business. And once I did that, I realized that people actually wanted one-on-one work with the law more than they wanted templates. So I started drafting contracts for people, which was better than litigation. But it wasn't until I realized, like, okay, most of these women who are building businesses who need contracts also really need trademarks. And probably even before they need contracts, they need trademarks. And so I wanted to add that to my practice area. And I wanted to add that as one of my practice areas. And that's how I found you. And I took your course, and here I am. And it's now like my favorite thing to do.
Oh my gosh. What a trip. Like, what a journey. Like, you're like started out hating it and like was like about to, like, in a sense, like basically like considering leaving the profession or like just putting it on the back burner, which is exactly how I felt. I was like, man, if this is how it's going to look, I can't do it. Like, this is not going to happen. This is not it for me. And I'm so glad that we were able to open the door, because a lot of it is just knowing that there are other options. Like, you know, we don't get like a tasting in law school. I think there should be like a buffet of sorts where you can like see all the options that are available to you.
Absolutely.
So let's rewind a little. So you said you came across me. So let's go back. How long ago would you say it was that you came across me, and how, by the way?
I want to say it was a few months into opening my firm. So maybe 9 months ago, 10 months ago.
Okay. So not even a year. That's amazing.
Not even a year.
Wow. Okay.
Not even a year ago. I actually hired somebody to do trademarks in my firm because I just didn't have the capacity at that point, and she knew how to do them. And I knew that I wanted to be able to offer those services to clients. And then I saw how much money she was bringing in for the firm doing
great. You're like, hold on.
I'm like, how are you making more money than I am? And I'm the one owning the firm, you know?
Yeah. You're like, this math ain't mathin'. I don't know how I feel about this.
This is not like working. And then I was asking, I learned a little bit from her as she was doing it. And I was like, oh, this sounds like interesting. It sounds kind of fun. I should probably learn how to do it. And she hadn't taken your course, but she told me about it.
Okay.
So I kind of like looked into it, signed up for your emails, got your 5 a.m. email blasts.
People are like, are you awake at that time? I was like, I don't know where I am during that. I'm definitely not.
I think you have it automated.
I do.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. But, and you have it like at the right time. I think 5 a.m. is like a key time to send emails.
You can't, because you're going to see it when you wake up. Like you have to, and everyone checks their email in the morning. Yeah,
exactly. And then you're kind of primed like throughout the day. Like that was the first thing you read. And I was like,
I'm like, good, it's working. It's working.
But I sort of like, I didn't sign up right away. I think I, was reading your emails. I'm like, oh, unicorn practice. Like sounds great. But then I eventually got your 2 weeks to Trademarks and just implemented it right away. And she doesn't do Trademarks anymore. So for me,
like,
she started her own business. Not people. Yeah, she started.
No, I know. You're like, I now am.
I know.
That makes sense though. I mean, that's a big part of what I talk about is like, you see how lucrative it can be when you really invest into it and fully immerse yourself. You're like, wow, there's a lot of potential here. Obviously if you're dabbling, that's one thing, it's going to be occasional, but to really sit down and create a system around it, I mean, there's a lot of potential there. So
yes,
that is great to see. Yeah.
And it's, I think from a marketing standpoint, like easier to like sell than contracts or other practice areas. And I love marketing. So this appeals to me because people are interested in building their business and doing something exciting, and trademarking is exciting. Like people really want to do that the way they want to purchase, a pretty logo. Versus if you don't get contracts, if you don't do these things, you're going like the fear-based marketing. Yeah. I think people get more excited about trademarking because it's like, I get to be legitimate and own my brand. And it's something exciting that I can like affirmatively do.
Right. And I think anything that you're thinking about marketing, like you can take the fear side or you can take the positivity of like, look at all the great things that will happen for you. And like, it's positive. I'm personally not a fan of like the fear type of marketing where it's like, you're almost like belittling somebody or like, like memes and stuff like that, where it's like, if you're not legit and stuff, it's like, no, like, let's just be positive about it. And like,
it works better.
I think so. Yeah.
At least for my clientele.
I definitely want to hear more about how you've gone about your marketing, because that's obviously a really popular question people have as they are, starting to think about adding a practice area or even investing further into one. But before we get to that, question about like just kind of your thought process as you came across like, somebody basically brand new on the internet, right? Like you didn't know who I was, you come across the course. Did you feel any kind of like hesitation? You said you read the emails for a little bit. Like, was there anything that like, obviously it's an investment, not only financially, but of your time, of your energy. Like did you have anything that you were considering, at that point, and what made you kind of want to go forward with it?
Well, I think that, I don't know that you have a lot of competition in this area. Like I didn't see any, other courses like geared towards attorneys. And if there are, they certainly weren't done as well as yours.
Yeah. I don't really know of anybody that's like, I think there's some attempting, but like you said, it's not really like,
like you're just very well known, amongst trademark attorneys, and you have great testimonials and people who speak to your program and then the results that they've seen from doing your program. So I think I was definitely swayed by just like the amount of testimonials you have and everyone, speaking to how it changed their practice.
Okay. That's definitely, I'm glad to hear that, because I know that it's like, I think for anybody listening, watching, that they can definitely relate to like wanting to explore something and coming across an offering, but there's so much noise. I feel like there's so much out there. And I famously say that I'm an instructor and not a coach, because I think there's a distinction. And I think the coaching industry has been saturated with people making claims of all sorts and so many promises that like aren't backed up. Right. And it's just, anybody can put a website up and say whatever. So that's why I always like to ask, because I feel like, even me, like as I'm scouting things, I'm a business owner too. I like studying marketing. I like studying, material to make myself better, but it's the same questions I go through. I'm like, oh, is this legit? So I was just curious. So you eventually enrolled. I'm so glad that you did. And it sounds like you, enjoyed the material. Tell me about, as you're going through the classes, the different trainings and things like that, like what was your experience like going through the course?
So as you were just saying about the difference between like being an instructor and being a coach, I feel like I have been a part of fluffier courses and masterminds and things like that, where you're like, why did I invest in this? Like, what did I actually take out? And I felt like yours was like jam-packed with material and actually practical steps. And like, I would say everything that you need to know, you include in your program.
Good. So I'm so glad you feel
that way. And it was entertaining. Like, I like how personable you are. And I was laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's on a diet and hungry and eating almonds. And like, that's how I feel right now.
Yeah. Like I am who I am, like in teaching, as I am, like if we have drinks and it's like, or anywhere, or if you run into me at a conference, like I really just try to keep it real. Cause I'm like, I'll just say the thing that we're all thinking, like I'm starving and there's no food here. Like I'm on a diet, or whatever. So
that's how I am. And I think I just related to that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad, because I think there's a risk you take in having that authenticity, where some people may be like, oh, they want you to be more sort of buttoned up. But I also kind of realize like, that's never going to be like my full style. I can be that polished person, but when I'm teaching and just immersed in the material, I'm like, we're all thinking the same thing. Like we're all tired. We all want an easier area of law. No one wants to be miserable. Like who enjoys litigating and like that kind of stress? Maybe some people do, but like, I don't know them,
right.
So like,
they're not the people here.
They're not the people in this class. So that I can tell you. So, okay. So you had a positive experience going through material. That I'm glad to hear. And how long was it? Well, I know you're getting trademark clients, obviously for your firm, because you're having someone else handle that. So what did the transition look like from you sort of starting to take them for yourself and like feeling comfortable enough to do so, right? Like having gone through the material, like tell me what that transition was like.
Well, I feel like it was pretty easy, especially with like the opinion letter template that you include in there.
Yeah.
That was really helpful. I think it takes a little bit to get comfortable in terms of giving a risk level analysis. Like, okay, well, obviously these are similar, but how do I know if they're too similar? That kind of thing. So there's a little bit of like a learning curve, but as with anything.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty quick transition from having somebody I hired do all of the trademarks to then me doing all of the trademarks.
Yeah. So you felt comfortable pretty quickly. You felt like you were able to get competent in the area to the point where you could, confidently sort of have these conversations and handle the matter.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Definitely.
That's so good to hear. And, like we said, so you're already getting the clientele in, and I'm assuming you learned a thing or two about marketing during the course too. So that's helping to kind of increase. So, and then you said you love marketing anyway. So now let's talk about, because people ask, and I say this famously, like it's all fun and games to learn a practice area, like in general, right? Especially if it's interesting and fun and not stressful. Mm-hmm. But if you have no one to do it for, like, what's the point, right? So marketing does become a very important part of this. So tell me how you've gone about marketing, how you've gone about, you don't have to give away the secret sauce, obviously, but like just,
I'm an open book.
Yeah. Generally speaking, just in case anyone's curious, like if it's doable for him or for her.
So I get most of my clients from Instagram and from referrals. Instagram, I don't have like a huge following, but I have like 6,000 followers, which I'll get into like how that's a whole other topic on like how to get leads. But I would say like the most is, first of all, like you have to know your audience, you have to know who you're speaking to. So I have a pretty good idea of like exactly who my ideal client is, what their fears are, what their dreams are, you know, how much money they make, where they shop, like all of that stuff. And so I feel like I can speak to them and do so through the lens of like legal and trademarking. So I try to be pretty authentic on social media, and in my marketing, I found like reels are really successful just because people like to see a face. People trust somebody when it's like someone talking to them versus like a static graphic.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have gotten a lot of leads through building an email list. So I have a pretty big email list that I've gotten through like maybe a free, like basically converting template clients, like people who come to my website to buy a template. And then they kind of the upsell is like working one-on-one.
Sure.
So I work with like an ads manager, like a Facebook, Instagram ads manager, where people get ads for like a free guide or a free resource. And then they get kind of like put through an email sequence once they subscribe. So that's one way I've been able to like build an email list at a pretty low cost. And then once somebody's on your email list, you can really educate them about anything.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's how I get a lot of my clients, people who become clients.
Okay.
But then I also have relationships with people who have the same audience that I want as clients. So like accountants are a great referral source for me. You know, just like getting to know people who have the same ideal client as you, and then they become a referral source.
Right. Right.
So it's like networking and, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, I like to hear about it because I think that, you know, to be able to capture all the different ways people go about marketing and that it can be done. And in the sense that there's no shortage of trademark business out there, right? Like it's yours for the taking. I mean, it's truly an abundant amount of business if you know if you're willing to do the marketing and if you're willing to kind of pick a couple of avenues, like you said, email marketing, Instagram, and go with them, and referral building. That's my favorite. So.
Right. And I love your like abundance mindset and teaching everybody, you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
I feel that way too. Like there really is no shortage of people who will need trademarks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's positive to hear. So you've had no trouble marketing, and it sounds like your incoming trademark clientele has only increased since you started taking it over. So talk to me about just how the business has gone. Like and we can get as specific or as general as you want to keep it, but just talk to me about impact on, you know, the firm revenue in terms of trademark clientele, you know, all that kind of stuff, incoming stuff.
So I feel like when I started and I was more in the mindset of being like a full service law firm, I didn't really focus on marketing to trademark specifically. So if somebody needed a trademark, I would be like, yeah, I know how to do it. It wasn't until after I took your course and realized like I enjoy doing this more than I enjoy doing like a custom agreement or anything litigation based that I started really focusing my marketing on that. So I might have had like 3 or 4 trademark clients just happen to come to me in the beginning. But now I probably get like 10 trademark leads a week. And
that's
then,
amazing.
And then, you know, working on that closing.
Look at you go.
Working on that closing percentage. I know I need to take your empire, get that conquer the consultation down.
Girl, we just finished that. And I am telling you, it
it's on my list. I will definitely do it. but I mean, my revenues like doubled and tripled probably.
In 9 months. Like that's the factor, like less than a year. Holy cow.
And
Holy
that's
cow.
what I plan on scaling going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so scalable, which is so nice. Like it doesn't cost you anything more to offer trademarks more often and have that be your primary practice area, right? Like and it doesn't cost you anything to offer it, right? Like you're not paying for a report unless someone orders it, for example. Like
Right.
I always say there's software that you need and that like helps on the back end, like as you get going, but especially in the first year or so, like it's, you're ramping up. And so to be able to have that influx of revenue, doubling and tripling, that's incredible.
Yeah. And I don't pay that much for my software. Like I use Alt Legal and then Markify for my searches. And then I have a virtual assistant who does my opinion, who like finalizes my opinion letters. And she doesn't charge very much for that.
Yeah.
So it's all very like easily outsourceable. That's a word.
Absolutely. And systemizable.
Obviously not the word. Not
yeah.
the legal stuff, but the admin stuff around trademarking.
But that's exactly what I taught you guys is that, we have this hang up of like needing to do all of it, but it's like, you're not any less of a lawyer because you're not like copy and pasting results from like a report,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like deciding those results is legal, right? But the actual copy pasting function is not. So there's no need. Yeah.
And that's what I got from your course is like hire a VA to do this exact task.
Right. And then you went, and that's what I love to see is like someone took the material and then it's a twofold, right? You invest in the material and then turn around and actually implement it. And if you do what I say, look what can happen. I mean, it's my favorite thing to see because look what can happen if you just implement, but it doesn't happen without the implementing. It is you guys. Like, it's not all me. It's you guys.
And my VA, I love her. Like she's amazing and she's always asking for more work. So if you have any students who want to implement it and need a VA.
How did you find your VA? Just out of curiosity.
On Upwork.
Okay. Awesome. I love to hear it. So we're seeing clearly, I think you could say positive impact on revenue, doubling, tripling sounds like it sure is. But you just came back from 3 weeks in Europe. Right. So congratulations. You were celebrating your honeymoon / threw a little work in there, which is how it's done because it makes it deductible. Right. So that's how it's done.
Right.
So talk to me about just, the positive impact on your life from adding trademarks, not necessarily revenue wise, but the fact that you can step away for 3 weeks and be remote and just, whether I don't know how much you were working or not, but to be able to even do that and not worry about, the firm running.
I was only working like 3 hours a day, if that, not even every day. And I had my best month in June when I was gone.
I am done. I'm closing this computer and I'm out the door. I'm done. I'm retiring because this is insane. Like, I'm so happy. Like,
I know. I DM'd you. I DM'd you like from Europe and I'm like, hi, you don't know me?
Like, you have no idea. Like I have goosebumps. I'm just like, seriously, like, look at you go.
And it's something like I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it, I didn't feel like I was sacrificing anything because I'm having conversations with like really successful, amazing women who are building their businesses in Europe. I can't like just talk to my husband for 3 weeks. Like, let's be real, like I need.
Like, we need a little outside like interaction.
Yeah. Like it's work I enjoy.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh, that's absolutely incredible to not be worried, to have your best month while you're abroad, living your best life, drinking an Aperol spritz in Europe. I mean, I'm done. Like, I'm just, oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. Did you ever dream that this would be possible when you were miserable being a litigator?
I did not ever think that it was possible in the practice of law, which is why I started my legal template shop. I was like, okay, I have digital products, which I still hope to scale that to the degree I'm scaling, trademark law.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't think that it was possible in terms of the practice of law.
That's what yeah. As a lawyer practicing law, right. Like the normal way we think about, but it's not the normal way you think about it. And I just think, there's certain practice areas that are better suited for lifestyles than others. And it just depends on, what your preferences are. But I don't know anybody that wants to be stressed out. I don't know, not a single soul in this world. Yeah.
I don't either. I think you should go to law schools and like teach seminars on how
I might.
There are other options out there.
There are other, and it's so crazy because I started this course and teaching this program because I was like, this is a very like well-kept secret. And I don't think that it should be, because like, why can't everyone know about this? And why weren't we told that there's a route besides big law and a route besides like litigating and juries and, or like just that hustle grind mentality. Like I fell into that too. Cause I was like, right. Oh, you're not a good lawyer, not a real lawyer, unless you're like not sleeping and miserable. And it's like, now it's like, to me, the ultimate flex is making money, being well rested, well hydrated, feeling good, glowing. And you're like, and I'm thriving. That's the flex. The flex is not, I worked an 80-hour work week for the last 3 years and like haven't had a vacation. Like that's not a flex. Right. Yeah.
No one thinks that that's cool anymore.
No, that is like not cool anymore. Like we've evolved, but there's definitely a generation that we're coming off of that felt that way, that taught us that.
Oh yeah. I was in law school and working at this like medium-sized firm in Boston, doing like an internship where it's basically free labor, but they, have you work and you get credit.
Yeah.
And I remember telling one of the older female partners there that like, I wanted to get married and have a family soon. And she just kind of looked at me like, that's your dream? And I'm like, yeah. Like,
yeah, and she's like, well, she's like, have you seen me? I'm not doing that. And you're like, oh, yeah. Like, yeah.
And it was like this judgment, of like, oh, how are you going to have work-life balance? You must not be very hardworking or driven. Like that was the vibe.
And now it's like, watch this.
Watch this, exactly. Watch this. I work way more. Yeah. No.
Yeah, it really is such a, like the flex now is like, wow, like I go on vacation all the time and either don't work minimally, or I can work from anywhere I want, right? Any of those, the whole like remote sort of location independent thing can look however you want. Like if you want to be traveling all the time, it can come with, as long as you get your time zone straight. The USPTO operates on Eastern time, guys. It's not your time zone. It's the Eastern time zone. Do not mess that up. But as long as you're mindful of your time zones, it can come with you. You can work minimally and oversee if that's, if you've gotten to that point in the infrastructure, or you can just be hands off entirely as you've built. And it sounds like you really are on your way to that. And that's incredible.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm interviewing like some part-time attorneys. Yeah. So we'll see.
9 months in. It's hard for me to choose a favorite aspect of these conversations, but I think the thing that blows my mind the most is obviously the impact in seeing the revenue, like how many people are having double, triple, 30K, 50K months, like just however you want to quantify it, but how quickly, first of all, I've only been practicing for 12 and a half years. Not only, but I've only been teaching this material for 7 years. And that was from day 0 to now. So whatever results people are seeing has to be within 7 years, but really it's like under 2 is what I'm seeing. It's crazy.
It's like a butterfly effect or whatever the term is, where I feel like the more clients I have, they tell 10 people,
Exactly.
And the more clients you have, the more clients you get.
And that's the thing, as long as you're, and there's aspects to performing well and carrying out the services, but if you're keeping in touch and doing those kind of, sort of like client delight factors, and I teach all of that as well, like we got to get you an empire, because you'll learn. If you're already seeing, that'll just turn up. I don't know if you're ready for that. It'll be like, but like this, it lends itself, because it's a positive area of law. People are happy to have worked with you. They're happy clients, and they are going to sing your praises if you do a good job. And then it does multiply, And so in a sense, like if this is your earliest time, and this is the worst year, the worst you're going to do. Think about it. Like this is only the beginning. Yeah.
Right. No, it's very exciting. I feel
it is.
about
Oh,
my career and, you know,
I'm
being
so
here.
happy. Yeah. Like you have joy in practicing again. Like that above all is you can't put a price on that. There's no
No, you
dollar
can't.
sign. Yeah. Because imagine how shitty it feels to be like, wow, I got this law degree and like I can't use it because I
Right.
can't find something that fits for me.
And that's like where I was pretty much.
Yeah. Oh
So,
my gosh. I'm so happy for you and so proud of
well,
you.
I'm happy that I met you
Thank
and
you.
took this course.
Oh
So
my gosh. Thank you for trusting me to teach you and for, just taking the plunge because, it does, like I said, it takes a certain amount of trust when you've never met the person. Now we know each other in a sense. And like we follow each other and like we feel like we've met even though we haven't. But in the
right.
beginning, when you first click follow, when you first click subscribe, you're just like, I don't know if this person's any different than the other 16 emails I'm getting from all these other places that, and
Mhm.
it takes amount of like a little bit of a trust factor. So I'm glad that you did. I mean,
Oh, it totally. Yeah. No, I tell like everyone about you. So
I'm so glad. Well, I want to be mindful of your time and that you have a firm to run and probably more trips to plan. Um, just to wrap up, one last question for you. So if someone's listening to this, watching this, and they're miserable in what they're doing, whatever it is they're doing, and they're on the fence about the course, they're like, I don't know about her or the material, or if I can even do this practice area, on the fence about anything, what would you tell this person?
I would tell them just to take the leap and have faith and that it really is possible. And feeling like it's not possible for you is just a limiting belief. Totally is.
Agreed. Agreed.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Awesome. So is it safe to say you'd recommend the course?
Yeah. So.
Just checking. I just want to make sure. I'm like, just make sure we get that in there. All right. Just saying.
Yes. And I can't wait to take Empire.
I'm so glad. I cannot wait to have you. I think and we just finished the reteach. So it's bigger, badder, faster than ever.
I've been
It's
watching little
amazing.
snippets on Instagram. So
It's
I'm
amazing.
having
Oh my God.
Like as soon as I catch up on all my work, I'm diving in.
Yeah. Well, and one of the goals of that, one of the reasons we did it is so that the modules could be evergreen for you guys, even if you couldn't make the reteach. So they're there
Right.
for you. They'll be there. Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
Awesome.
All right, Miss, thank you so much again. I know you have things to get to and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I really appreciate you just taking the time to sit with me, to open up about your story, share with other people what you're up to and what's possible. I'm so proud of you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.